So,
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the 10 Degree Shift and a spotlight on an amazing leader doing cool stuff in the world. And I like to bring you every month someone different, someone unique, someone who's mapping their own path in their leadership journey in their own way. And when you think of unique and mapping their own path, this person comes to mind. Nadene Barretto. Hello, Nadene.
hey, AJ. How are
Great
you?
to have you on board.
Thanks for having
And
me.
great to see you there with your beautiful recruitment, Eight Recruitment logo behind you.
That.
Awesome branding.
I should have gone this side.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So we've got our dogs everywhere. Talking about dogs.
Fantastic. Yeah. So Nadine has the cutest little dogs, and they're on all your branding, which is what I love about your branding, that it's fresh, it's unique, it's completely you guys, and it's not stuffy or stale. And so I brought Nadine on today because for two reasons. One, to hear her leadership journey and what's inspired her in growing and developing her own career, but also as a recruiter and someone who has been in the industry for a long time. I'm sure you've got some tips and things for many people who are looking to up-level their role. And so many of our listeners are going through those changing, challenging times of restructures and strategic changes that they go, maybe I'm not a fit for this culture anymore. I might be looking somewhere else. But for many people who are in senior roles, that can be also really challenging because they might have not put themselves out there for a while. So they may not have updated their resume for a while. And no matter how mature we are, how confident we are at our competencies, it's still really hard to sometimes show up and sell yourself. So lots of things we can talk about today, Nadene. Can we begin by you just sharing a little bit about who you are and how you got to be where you are at now with Eight Recruitment?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Nadine, I am a mum of three. I had three under three, which was insane. None of them were planned, it just kept happening. So I had three children under three. My two oldest were born in the UK. My husband played rugby over there professionally, and then we came back home and had my son. I started in recruitment 25 years ago. I fell into recruitment. Most people do fall into recruitment. There's no like qualification. You've got HR, but that's recruitment's a part of HR. But typically people fall into recruitment. So I started in Newcastle and went over to Ireland and did more recruitment in Ireland and England. Came back and had the babies and was working for a company that wasn't listening to actually they were listening to my ideas, but they were stealing all my really good ideas and not giving me any credit for it. And then I think the industry itself is full of a lot of cowboys. It can be a bit of a brutal industry. And I thought I want to bring transparency and value to the industry. And I also had these three little babies and needed to get my work-life balance right. So gave it a crack at starting Eight Recruitment. And that was 13 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty interesting journey. I've got my husband and my daughter in the business, so that's also interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I've gotten to where we are today with Eight.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
13 years, started out with just you and
Just
Steve.
me.
Just you. Okay.
Yeah.
You've since brought husband and one of your children in.
Yeah.
What about staff? Where are you at now? What's that kind of growth path look like?
I've got 4 consultants, plus Ava and Steve. So what's that? I think there's 7 or 8 of us. As you know, we went through a bit of a journey last year with staff, which was really interesting. And I feel like now that I'm through it, I had to go through it to learn so many amazing lessons. And I don't think we'd be where we are right now, which is in such a great spot without having gone through those lessons. So yeah, we've got a beautiful team. Going to have a really nice steady approach to growth. So maybe take on another consultant in January and then another one in June. So absolutely still got some really big growth plans, but a lot more, I guess, structured and steady.
Okay, so you're going to pace yourself now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that sounds like it comes from experience and that you had some hurdles.
Yeah.
What's been some of the things that you've learned, not only as a business owner, but as a leader? Because it's different when it's just you in the business and you're leading yourself to then going, now I've got to deal with these humans.
Yeah.
What's been some of the learning for you in that growth path?
So many lessons last year, so many. I've always thought I didn't enjoy being a manager or being a leader. I didn't think I was good at it. Turns out I'm okay at it. But the lessons I learned last year is to have those difficult conversations up front. Don't hide. Like I hid from a lot last year. It's like it'll sort itself out, you know. I completely hid away from those tough conversations and thought things would get better. But it took an explosion for it to get better, but it is better. But yeah, I think having the right structure in place as well. Like my leader was on maternity leave, and I thought I could do it all as the team was growing. Like we took 6 new people on in 6 months, which was just insane.
Wow. Yes.
So that was really crazy. And in my business, my job is to sell. That's my main job, sell and market. But I was doing everything and training up 6 new people. I thought I could do it all, and clearly I couldn't. But yeah, I think that the biggest lesson is communication. And it's interesting. I had a client ask me how he can keep staff, how he can retain staff without financial rewards. And I'm like, who am I to give you advice on that when I've just had a shocker in my own business? So I went and Googled it, and it just kept on coming up: communication on all levels.
Yeah.
So that's a big lesson.
I couldn't agree more. And of all the leaders I work with, and I've just been away for 2 weeks out in Western in the country areas, same thing there for team leaders and people going through lots of change, having to implement new systems and IT and all of that sort of thing. And they said it's communication at the end of the day, and it's real communication. Like, I think gone are the days where it used to be we have a town hall meeting or we send out an email and assume we've communicated, but it's that being real with humans, talking to them, asking them, understanding the emotion that people go through a change process, because all of your employees are going to be in a different spot at a different time. And so you can't assume one blanket message is going to work for everyone. Yeah.
And something that you really helped us with was what I realized, it hit me like a ton of bricks, that we put so much focus on growing our numbers and growing our client base and just growing. I lost sight of the softness of the business. I lost sight of because I had one of my consultants say to me, where do you see 8 in 5 years? And I was like, oh, I couldn't answer it. And I've been so busy, so busy, I had lost sight of the softness. And what are our values? What's our end game? Where do we want to be in 12 months? And I hadn't had those conversations with the girls in so long. And it was really beautiful to come back and get that softness back in. I don't know if that's the right word to use, softness, but that's how I feel it is. Instead of the hardness of a business, we were very good at that. Our structure was amazing. Our marketing's great. Our business model is brilliant. But the beautiful softness wasn't there. And now we've got that. The change in our business is insane. It's beautiful. And I communicate on a daily basis exactly what our numbers are, exactly what we need to get to for the month, and everyone's on that journey. So that's
what you said at the beginning, values and transparency, isn't it? It's being honest about that stuff, but also being real, not just their numbers on a board, but what does that mean for us as humans? Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think softness is a great term, because in a way it's the IQ and the EQ. You know, it's the book smarts and the street smarts and the understanding what business we're in, and how awesome that you have a great business model and structure, and you do have fantastic magnetic marketing, those sorts of things. And I think magnetic marketing, because it attracts and repels, in that people know,
like that.
You know, people know if they're a fit for you, just like a magnet. If it's wrong way around and they're a bit stuffy or boring, I would say they're probably not a fit for
Absolutely.
But
we're okay with that.
Yeah, right. And so you attract good people, the right people, all of that. Same with your team. And the soft skills is that personality. That's what I love about the things that you guys do, is that there is personality, that you have a personality and you show that, right? And you're known for that. So people can rely on your reputation, because it's not like I'm just getting a cookie cutter approach. I'm getting personalized service. And in the same way, internally, understanding each of your staff and their strengths and their skills, and then working with that, is part of that softness.
Yeah.
And Gallup's research shows that we get 30% more productivity, or up to that. All statistics are made up in some ways. No, they come from research, but they say up to 30% more productivity when someone's in their strength zone.
Yeah,
and when they're doing something they love. And I always encourage managers and leaders, every week when you're having a one-on-one with a team member, or every fortnight, ask them, what was something you loved doing last week? What was something you loathed? And sure, we're going to have to do stuff that we don't love. That's the case. We all have to do admin or whatever it is we don't love. But can I move the needle a little to give you a bit more of what you love, or give you some opportunities to really play to that strength? And can I reduce a bit of what you loathe?
Yeah.
Because the more we can move people into what they love, the more they're going to be magnetic too, and going to show up and be a great team member.
I remember years ago, it was when Steve had started in the business, and we thought, oh, he'd make a great recruiter. Yeah, it turns out maybe not. He's got his strengths elsewhere. But he was talking to a candidate on the phone in a particular way, and one of the consultants was like, oh, he shouldn't be speaking like this. He should be doing this. He should be doing that. And I said, I don't want a business full of same. If that's his style, that's who he is. Play to who you are. And even when so many recruitment agencies, everything is templates for this, templates for that. There's, everything's so structured. I want people to have their own voice in the adverts that they write. I want people to have their own voice in the way that they speak about candidates, and have your own personality. That, again,
love that.
going back to playing to your strengths.
And in this modern world where AI can replace so much, and I'm curious to hear your comments as a recruiter on this, because I think more and more people are getting AI to write their resume, they're getting AI to do their job application. And so what we can start to hear is cookie cutter stuff that might be technically correct, but it's losing a little bit of its humanity. And at the end of the day, I want to hire someone who's got the right skills, sure. But at the end of the day, I want someone who's a right fit for my culture and who has the right attitude. And so we need to think about, how do we show that? So how are you seeing changes in technology, AI, and all of that impacting your market as a recruiter?
Yeah, I can see when a resume has been written with Chat GPT in particular. I can see when job adverts have been. But whenever I interview candidates, I hate seeing resumes that are a position description. That's too wordy. And so, yeah, great. You can get Chat GPT to summarize what you've done and make it look better and sound better and get your grammar sorted. But I think if you add, what I love to see on resumes is numbers, dollar signs, percentages. Like I always say, more fact, less fluff. And AI can't do that for you. I love achievements, and so you can say on your resume, I implemented a certain this, which saw an increase in that, and put numbers around that. And AI can't do that for you. And in my job adverts that we write for our clients, again, I like to put context with numbers in it. So go your hardest with AI and getting your wording right, but put a bit of you in there, or make it a bit of transparency about who you are or about who your client is. So I think AI, it's got its place, absolutely has its place.
Yeah.
But I think we can all start to see when it's being used.
Absolutely. And I love that it's, you tell your story. It can do wordiness for you and make words sound pretty, but you have to tell your story.
Yeah.
And I reckon that anyway, when you get to interview, you'd pick that up, because it's whether people can tell their story, right?
Yeah.
And share the real examples that then the rubber hits the road.
Yeah.
So, given a lot of people are going through that process of, oh my gosh, I may have to apply for another job right now, and everything feels a bit uncertain and different. And yet, there's also great opportunity because since COVID, people that normally had to go and work in a big city can now work from much more flexible places. What are you seeing as some of the trends in recruitment, and what are your tips that you have for someone who maybe hasn't applied for something for quite a while?
Do you mean trends as in what sort of jobs or what sort of industries are going?
Yeah, what's going at the moment? What's popular? Where are there lots of opportunities?
Renewables are going mad.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone hasn't heard of what the renewable energy zone out Western New South Wales, like, it is insane what's going on out there. And Newcastle we're so lucky. It's almost like we're a hot spot for businesses to set up. So we picked up a new client. They're an international business who have got 30 billion euros worth of investment in renewable energy projects.
Wow.
And they've got a platform business, and they wanted to set up in Newcastle.
Wow.
So that's just one example. You've got Port of Newcastle doing some crazy things. Like, the renewable sector is insane. And, it's not just for engineers and project managers. We recruited an EA. They need accountants. They need all sorts to support the industry. So it's a really cool sector to get into, and it's a lovely transition for people, or for Newcastle, out of mining. So yeah, that's a huge sector that's on fire at the moment. Some tips on applying for jobs, or on how to get yourself out there. Like I was saying before, tell your story well on your resume, and don't make it just a position description. Put facts and figures in there. The 2-page is a myth. I reckon a 2-page resume, if you need 3 or 4 pages to tell your story, take the time. And so many candidates say to me, oh, but I'll tell that when I get in front of the person. But you've got to get in front of them first.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you have to limit your resume to 2 pages and limit what you put on there. But don't go 10 pages. I think LinkedIn is one of the most underrated platforms ever. It is insanely powerful when looking for a job, and it's still a very candidate-driven market at the moment. So I've been calling it like a sticky market for candidates. So we're getting some more applicants coming through, but candidates are still a bit sticky and moving. So I think if you're back in the job market and you haven't been in the job market for a long time, don't also underestimate how good you are, and don't forget that there's not a lot of you out there. Right. I think you can get yourself in a position where you're like, oh, there's 200 applications, I'm not going to get the job. Reality is there might be 200 applications, but there's probably only a handful of decent ones. So I think a bit of confidence that the market is still a pretty candidate poor market, and there's lots of jobs out there. Get a LinkedIn profile if they don't have one already.
I couldn't agree more on a couple of things there. LinkedIn especially. I know for me, even in my business, it's huge. It's a way of people seeing you in that professional sense. It's a way of sharing information. And even if you're not posting articles or anything, you can comment on other people's, you can be seeing what other exciting things are happening in the industry. So it's a way of kind of keeping your finger on the pulse. And more globally, I guess, as well. If you're in a region and you're not seeing the news from elsewhere, LinkedIn's great for that. In your niche, your industry. And for people who are going, I want to improve, on my website, alexandrajoy.com.au, I think it's /shop. I have a free guide to help you improve your LinkedIn profile, because I see lots of people leave the real estate of their profile a bit dead. And they don't show their personality and how they work best. So again, same thing. I think we can improve our LinkedIn profiles, and exactly what Nadine's saying, don't resume rehash, like actually point out some of your achievements and some of the great work that you've done. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because I have some thoughts, but I'm not in your industry, but I'm interested in your thoughts on cover letters. Are they dead, or are they still relevant?
I don't read them. And I yeah, I never read them.
Mhm.
I don't know if all recruiters are like this, but I know where I want to go. I know what I want to see to know what a good candidate is.
Mhm.
And I just want that given to me now. I don't want to have to open another document. I don't want an extra page. I would, and I feel cover letters, there's a lot of fluff, a lot of words.
Yes.
And that's where Chat GPT can write a beautiful cover letter. But I'm like, show me why you're so good. Don't just tell me, like, show me straight up in your job, in your resume,
Mhm.
what you've achieved
Yeah.
and your longevity and your job titles. That's what I look for. I look for longevity, job titles, and numbers, and that's what I'm very drawn to.
Mm.
Yeah, so I never read cover letters.
That's so cool because I think cover letters are dead. So I'm so glad to hear it because
Yeah.
it becomes just like waffly
Yes.
chat that sounds all businessy and is not as relevant.
Yep.
I do think it's worthwhile tweaking your resume if you're applying for a specific role at a company that you really
Yes.
like. I
Yep.
think and highlighting the stuff that's more relevant at the top. You know, back in my heyday, I worked at Henny Penny, which was a fast food chicken place. I don't have that in my resume.
No.
But if I was going for an area manager of McDonald's or somewhere, I would, right?
Yeah.
So it's that shuffle maybe some of your things around to highlight the most recent experience you've got that's relevant to the job that
Yep.
you're applying for. But I would 100% agree. I think the cover letter's dead because they're all very bland and very
Yep.
same. Yeah.
The other thing that it's funny when people are trying so hard to keep their resume to 2 pages, they feel like they've got to fill it with so much waffle. Like the personal profile or the skills, they kill me. Like the someone's personal profile when it's I'm a people person, I'm amazing. Like give me if you're a how can I if you're an accountant, show me that you've used Power BI. Like go into I guess professional specific examples of in your personal profile. And that also helps when you talk about AI. We don't do this because we don't have high volume applications. But if you've got a CRM actually reading resumes for you and picking up on words, put those kind of words in your resume so you do get picked up. Like, or if you're a marketer, put industry specific words in your personal profile. Don't just make it fluffy.
Yes.
And skills. Don't tell me that you're detail orientated. Like, don't tell me that you're a great communicator. Like that's fluff. So take all that out of your resume and just show me why you're good. Not, does that make sense?
Oh, totally. So it's don't tell me, show me.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't and it's interesting. I have a friend, Marion Farrelly, who's the exec producer of a lot of those TV shows like Big Brother Wants a Wife, My Kitchen Rules, things like that.
Oh, wow.
And she will always say, don't tell me you're a people person. Don't tell me, you know, because she's like, everyone says that. She's like, tell me a really specific example of I did this, then this happened because I am this, you know. And then she's like, now I get you. Yeah.
Even when I'm talking about putting numbers on a resume, it doesn't have to be dollar signs. It can even be I had 5 direct reports. Give context to what you do, because not everybody understands your job or the employer that you've been working with. You could, you know, be working for a company that's got 10 employees and have the same job title as someone who's got 1,000 employees, and your job is so different.
Right.
So give some context with numbers in your resume.
Yeah, like I led a project that had 3,000 stakeholders, had to communicate with them in this way, you know, had to support the CEO in this way or whatever that might be, so that you go, oh, I get that they get it.
And, you know, it can also be, I tell candidates who have come to me with like a position description resume, go away, and it's very hard to sell yourself. And I think you don't want to toot your own horn too much. But I'm like, no, toot it to me. You need to toot it. And I tell candidates, go away. It can be a really cathartic exercise to actually write down all of your achievements that you've achieved in your job, especially if your confidence has been knocked. Go away and really work out what you've achieved. Email it to me and I'll work out what I want to put in your resume and what I don't. Rather than, if you're an accountant, we know what you've been doing. Every accountant kind of does the same kind of thing.
Yes.
But what did you do? What have you done in your roles that is amazing? And yeah, if someone has been out of the market for a while, they haven't done a resume for a while, they probably have forgotten about their journey of the last 5 years and what they've achieved. So it can be a really confidence building exercise to do that as well.
I love that. And I love that you do that support sort of service for people. I think I always say to people, keep a little resume folder on your computer, on your desktop. And every time you do something, you think, oh, you know, or I just got a certificate in this, or I just handled a big project. Just put a note in that folder, because you can guarantee in 5 years, you won't even remember that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be gone. So I'm like, keep a folder that you just never know, that you put stuff in all the time as you're doing it.
And also, as that is such a great idea, as you're doing stuff like that, go and update your LinkedIn profile as well.
Yeah.
As recruiters, we are constantly headhunting, and I hate that word. I can't think of another word. But LinkedIn, the algorithms in LinkedIn now are so insanely smart. There's a product called LinkedIn Recruiter that and it will flag to me who has been active on their profile lately.
Right.
And it'll flag them as maybe that they're interested in looking for a job. And so that makes us want to, I guess, approach them. And you can always say no, you know. But yeah, by updating your LinkedIn and just putting your most recent project or your most recent achievement, as much as whatever you're doing in your resume folder, do it on LinkedIn as well, because that will alert recruiters that, oh, maybe they're looking.
Great. So in your little about section. Yeah.
Or even in your current role, you can just go and update that.
In your title or whatever that might be. That's such great advice. And I'm sorry if I pop up in your system, because I update mine quite regularly.
It is like an online resume as well.
Yeah. I know I update my title to be the kinds of people I'm working with at the moment and that I want to work with more. So that is out there. It's less about what I would call myself. I don't have my title. I actually have who I help. And that's one of the things with LinkedIn is, even though it says name and title, it's just a character field. You can put whatever you like in it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So be creative, and also just don't put CFO.
Yes.
You know, maybe put CFO who's great at driving business solutions or supporting strategic decision making.
Yeah.
Put something like that that says, how do you do that differently?
No, I like that. And you'll stand out. And I think what we're saying at the beginning, like, let your character, don't be scared of who you are. And I think I always say this is when I interview candidates, be so true to who you are in interview stage. Because you will, like looking for a partner, you'll attract the right employer in, but you'll also keep the ones that you don't want out. And an example I always tell, I had this beautiful lady who hadn't interviewed him forever, and she came in with little pantyhose and little pencil skirt on. And she said, I'm so nervous. I haven't interviewed in so long. I went and bought a new outfit today for my interview with me. I said, oh. She said, oh, yeah, I'm really uncomfortable. Normally I'd be sitting here in ripped jeans and leopard print boots. I'm like, oh my goodness, be that person in
Please
an interview.
wear that. Yeah.
If that's who you truly are, I know what clients to put you with. But if I think that you're quite conservative, I'm going to put you with the wrong client. So be so true to who you are in an interview, on LinkedIn, on your resume, because like you were saying before about that, the magnetic, like you attract and repel.
Yes.
I think in an interview situation, it's the same. You're interviewing that company as much as they're interviewing you.
Absolutely.
So be true to who you are in an interview.
And like you said, in some ways it's a candidate market. And so you really are interviewing the company and going, are they a fit for me? Do I want to spend a third of my life every week with these people? And if you had put her with all the skirts and stockings people who maybe aren't her jam, imagine how sad she would be going to work every day. Like,
and even I interviewed this other really sweet, she looked super conservative and she had really glittery nail polish on, like she was a bit out there. And I was like, I make silly conversations to try and make people comfortable, but also to get to know them. And I realized, like, she's a bit of a rocker chick. And she's working in an accounting firm, and she was a rocker chick, and I knew what to do with her. I knew where to put her and where not to put her. So yeah, just be true to who you are.
Go where you're needed and wanted, not just
Yeah,
when there's an availability. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So as far as oh, and I was thinking before, I just had a thought. You were saying about headhunting. I thought maybe you're smile collecting instead.
Oh,
That you're collecting smiles. You're not headhunting. You're looking for people who are smiling our way. They're the right smiles. Let's just collect smiles.
I'm a smile collector. Oh, that's really cute. Yeah, it's a terrible word, headhunter. I hate it. It's awful.
Headhunter sounds, yeah, a bit of a worry. And given I'm going to see Deadpool on the weekend, it's kind of a bit. So I guess to wrap up, I'm interested in, because we often when we're talking to leaders, they've had a mentor or a leader or someone who's been a bit of a way shower or a light for them. And given you're such a trailblazer, and I know you run at 100 million miles an hour, and you've really worked hard to build what you've got and you've put in the hard yards, has there been anyone throughout your journey, whether that was overseas in the UK and that or here, but that's been a bit of an inspiration, motivation, or a bit of a cheer squad and supporter for you? Who's helped you?
Couple. My very first boss, Stephen Thomas, he started a business called Educational Experience. He was amazing. And I was there for 5 years and left. And I think for the rest of my career was trying to find what I had at Educational Experience and never found it again. What he created in culture was amazing, and team. And then it was so bizarre. I had Eight for about 6 years at this stage and ran into him. I hadn't seen him in over 20 years. And I'm such a sticky bear because, what are you doing? He said, actually, I've started this thing called Barbara Brown, where he was in such a fortunate financial position. He gave back time to help businesses in scale-up mode for free. So he was like a free CEO in our business for nearly 8 years. So he was amazing and just gave me so much confidence as a business owner, so much.
Wow.
But also I've got so many, there's another lady when I first started her name's Jo Burston. To the company, I can't think what it was called now, Job Capital. And I kept seeing, this is back when Business Review, BRW was in magazines. And I kept seeing her pop up every month that this woman's amazing. And I was a bit cheeky and I actually rang her office and said, look, I don't need to speak to Jo Burston. I just wanted to let Jo Burston know she has inspired me so much. I've just started my business from my lounge room in Adamstown, and to see that she has done that and has created this multi-million-dollar business inspired me so much. And she rang me back. Jo Burston called me back. We met for lunch, and she then went and started a group called Inspiring Rare Birds, where she is now, all very, very passionate about mentoring women in particular. And her tagline is, if she can, I can. And that's something that I do. I look at people, men and women, and I think, man, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And then you work out how they've done it and try and do it. So there's so many people who inspire me, who are just ballsy enough to give it a crack. And I'm like, well, why can't I? And that Jo Burston tagline, if she can, I can. It's something that I do think about a lot.
I love that. And maybe you were part of inspiring a little bit of that. Who knows, right? In the pathway. And I love watching what she does, because she seems pretty authentic as well. And you can see that she pursues her dreams. And I love that both of your examples, in a way, are people who have no doubt done the hard yards to build up their own reputation, their own expertise. And I always say it's competence, credibility. They've done that. And then they're giving back to others, that steward eldership of, now I can pay it forward a little bit. And that's so inspiring to see as leaders.
And also that these two in particular, like, they shared their really bad stories with me as well. And knowing that you're not alone having a bad moment, a bad year, a bad whatever. It's how, it is so corny, but it genuinely is how you bounce back.
Totally.
And I'm very lucky. I've got some really beautiful people around me who, I've got like a little A team outside of my business around me who just absolutely support everything we do. And I think you need that in business or just in life. Like, have those people around you who are going to totally pick you back up, you've got this, keep going.
Yeah.
But I found out really quickly, not a lot of people want to celebrate your success, or they don't want to hear about your bad days. And if you can find one or two of those people who do want to hear it, yeah.
Speed dial them, have them on speed dial.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's exactly it, isn't it? I guess in most ways, business and leadership, our journey is, I think, 20% strategy and then 80% mindset and energetics. And so we all have ups and downs. We all have shit hit the fan. And we need people around us who, when we are down, can help rise us back up or buffer us to weather those storms. Because quite often when we're A-type driven people, we are the Energizer bunny for everyone else. And everyone else comes into work and expects that, oh, I can get my dose of Nadene today, and that's going to keep me going. And then you're like, so who does Nadene have? You know, who's going to help you when you need it? And nothing's ever smooth, the trajectory. I think all of us in our careers have grown when we've hit rock bottom. It's made us reassess, and then we go forward again with new learnings. I know for me, even in my business, I had a thing where my email newsletter and my website and stuff, I got blocked and all of it got canned, you know, and you've got thousands and thousands of people and you can't communicate like you used to, and it's blocking you from doing that. We had to totally recreate something and now have this super better system that does everything we need. And I probably wouldn't have looked for one except for shit hitting the fan. And I was cranky for a month. But then when I found other solutions, I was like, oh my God, there's stuff that's so much better out here. So
every time I've gone through, like I remember when I first started at 8 and I was on my own at home, and like it was brutal. It was so brutal starting it. And I had some affirmations and quotes that I knew would get me through my day. And I had them in front of me. And every time something would happen, I would just go to those quotes and reaffirm it. And even still now, like there's a few quotes that just stick with me. And I love it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. And like there's moments over the last few years where I'm like rocking in a corner going, it's happening for me, not to me.
Please send me the message and learning quickly.
And then I love Robin Sharma. His books are amazing. And I learned so much from his books. And he talks about you need to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough. So when you hit rock bottom, it's like, come on, just get me there. Get me there so I can have my breakthrough. Like even when I'm at my worst, I try so hard to see. I'm like delusionally optimistic. And the other love, I teach my children this, to be what others aren't, you have to do what others don't. So they're some of my favorite quotes that like, I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning to swim and to stay active. And it's like, oh, and then the other one, because I swim in the middle of winter, literally every morning that I go into the baths before I do it, I say to myself, feel the fear and do it anyway. These little quotes that I just constantly in my mind, and there's not many of them because I haven't got a great memory. I can't remember too much, but I think little things that are going to get you through your day.
And I think they fireproof your life, don't they, in some ways? I know for me, when I ride my motorbike, it's always all the gear all the time. And I say, ride to live. You know, all the gear all the time, and I ride to live. So I don't do stupid things when I'm out on the road because I know how risky motorcycle riding is and I want to do it for a long time. Having little quotes like that are really helpful in just getting your mindset, aren't they, in the right place? And another one I use in my business is all roads lead to love. So even if I've got someone who's a difficult client or someone who's going through some issues with their staff and they're like, I've got all these disengaged employees and I just want to get rid of them, I'm always like, what would love do? Like, all roads lead to love. How do we turn this around? Maybe they're just misunderstood. Maybe they've got something going on. And I'm not saying don't manage poor performers, but can we come from a place of love first?
I love
rather
that.
than just seeing the negative. So I agree. Those little phrases and things that can switch us back on, keep us going. And if not, we just need good friends that bring wine or food when you're sucking your thumb, sitting in the corner, rocking, going, oh my God. As is the life of a business owner, entrepreneur, right? As is the life of a leader. You know, all the leaders we talk to, it's a responsibility when you're not only responsible for yourself, but suddenly the work I do is, and my shadow is having an impact on all these people around me. It's a responsibility that you have to take seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing all of your wisdom. I'm so glad the cover letter is dead. And that LinkedIn is the jam. I didn't know that you would sing all of my song sheet, but you are. And it's super inspiring to watch you and everything that Eight Recruitment does. And I watch your posts, I see what you're up to. And just like you were inspired by Joe Burston all those years ago, I don't think you realize probably how many people watch you and are inspired by you.
No.
Yes, totally.
Really?
So, yeah, and your name is often what comes off people's tongues when you talk about business people who are living their truth and being authentic and doing good things. So, keep doing what you're doing. Keep your doggies on your brand. All that is perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. It's been great having you on.
No, I've had a great time. Thank you for having me.
And for anyone who is interested or is in the job market, and especially if they're going, oh, maybe I'm going to move into renewables, where can they find Eight Recruitment?
Our physical address, we're in Hamilton, or you can go to 8recruitment.com.au or 8.jobs. Got 2 different websites, but it all leads to 8recruitment.com.au. You can see our jobs there, and you can just upload your resume on, there's like an inquiry page.
Fantastic.
And if someone needs us to even look over their resume, more than happy to have a little look over and give some tips.
Fantastic. Go and check them out. Thanks, everyone. Have a fabulous day.
Thanks. So,
Nadene and I were just wrapping up and saying thank you to each other. And she shared something that I think is really unique. So this is an addendum to this episode. Nadene, you were just telling me about your amazing offices. Please share.
Yeah, so we get a lot of comments about our office, so we should take you on a tour. We've got lots of colour, lots of plants, lots of human. I think what I was saying to you is, regardless if we're interviewing in here a CEO or a receptionist, people come in with an element of nervousness. So we make people feel very, very comfortable, very welcome, and they're sharing like so many things with us that, you know, they wouldn't share with sometimes their best friend, like their salaries and their reason for leaving, and you get quite personal with these people. So we've created an environment in here. We've got photos of us and our families everywhere. And I think I want to share part of who we are with these people, because they're sharing so much of who they are. So we've got, like, Amy's got photos of her son's bare bum. It's so cute, in one of the offices. And, you know, my children are in all the offices, and everyone's children. There's photos of us everywhere, because we're dealing with humans, and we're all humans. So and we've deliberately set our interview rooms up like little old lady lounge rooms. We've got crocheted rugs and daggy old lamps, and I just want people to feel like they've come into a lounge room for a chat. So when you come in here, there's colour, there's crazy, and there's photos of us everywhere, just to make people feel, like, thank you for sharing your information with us. We take it really seriously, and it's a privilege that these people are coming in and sharing that with us.
And that is almost like the smile collecting. It's like we're friend collecting. You become one of our friends now, and here's our family. You're a family friend. I love that, and I love that you're considerate of not just the intellectual part of a job process, but the actual emotional side. And the fact is that workplaces of the future need to do this, because we take our whole self to work. And so that whole concept of life-work balance is almost completely gone. It's life-work synergy. And it's, I want to work somewhere that's seamless and that fits with who I am and what I'm about, and not have to take that hat off and completely divorce myself when I go home. I want to know that I'm respected as a human. So, a little bit of tit-bit gold there. Thanks.